Hey, Rare Garage of Dreams. This is going to go along with the deadlift. We talked about deadlift and creating the wedge, and this is something we were doing last night in the yard in the gym I run. We were fine-tuning guys' deadlifts, so we deadlift a lot. But what I noticed is a lot of them were talking about how they were really feeling the low back. Not so much hurting, but just a little extra strain there. And we stopped and had a big discussion about creating the wedge between you and the bar while deadlifting. And how I always think about deadlifting is if you have a deadlift jack in your gym, then you'll get that underneath the bar. You want deadlifting should almost feel like you're that deadlift jack. Like you get that under there and you wedge your legs, or you drop your hips, and as you're pulling, you're kind of wedging yourself under the bar and pulling back into you and shoving your feet into the ground. And what we were seeing a lot of those guys were, they weren't sitting back enough and creating that teeter-totter leverage, and so they were just pulling at the back and not driving through the legs and hips. And deadlifting, a lot of times, when guys really get good at it, it kind of almost becomes like a standing leg press almost. So, just kind of show you what I mean. What's happening was, you guys will get set up, and what I was wanting them to do, flex those lats hard, flex the triceps, get the arm straight so the bar is pulling back into them. But then, before they pull, we're dropping the hips just a little bit and leaning back, almost like if I let go of the bar, it'd fall over backwards. So when we get here, then we're creating that wedge between us and the ground, and it becomes a really big leg drive. So, and then you end up just pushing the legs to the ground, finishing with that hip extension. What a lot of them were doing was not dropping back at the hips, so we could see that. I'm dropping back that little bit and creating that little bit of a wedge. They were staying up a little high, and then they're pulling here, and it becomes just a low back. So that's why, real quick, what's the difference between this, pulling with most of the back, and this, sitting back in the hips and creating that wedge. So, a little food for thought. Later.